What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Rustomod Garage. If you followed our Rambler build series, you saw us put the Rambler station wagon body onto a Corvette chassis and then put an LS and a T56 in it, and we built the whole thing from scratch in our shop. If you guys missed that episode, I'll link it up here so you can guys see that whole series. But now that we've completed the Rambler, it's time to move on to another build series. So this time we're going to be building a 1968 Chevrolet C10. But let me give you a background on why I want to build the truck and what makes it so special to me. You guys may have seen on another YouTube channel, That Dude in Blue, also known as David Patterson, we did a video on my 1965 Ford F100, and I had put a 5.9 Cummins diesel in out of a Ram 2500 into that truck, and that kind of started the passion of mine where I'd like to keep a vehicle looking stock, but the deeper you look into the vehicle, it's actually more modified and more modern and just really cool hot rod, but with the stock-like appearance. Some guys would call these sleepers, and that's kind of what I really wanted to start building. Our Rambler build is pretty much a 61 Rambler that you would have no idea it has all this work done to it unless you watch the whole series on it. You come up on it and it looks like an old Rambler, but then you pop the hood and it's a complete custom chassis, complete LS with independent rear, independent front, just a complete hot rod undercover. So I kind of wanted to follow that philosophy with this truck. I'll show you guys what we did to it and what makes it so special. So in the last episode, you saw me go around the Rambler and kind of tell you the issues that we were having with it. So the Rambler is an independent rear suspension car, and it's really good at handling on road courses, on autocross events. It handles amazing. What the car kind of lacks is more of a drag race kind of setup. It's just not made to go fast in a straight line necessarily on a drag strip. So where I live, we live next to a really big drag strip, and everybody at this shop has a drag car, and I really wanted to build something that could go fast in a straight line. But of course, knowing me, I didn't want to just build everybody's Fox body with a turbo junkyard 5.3 and call it a day, because that would just be too easy. What I wanted to do was I really wanted to build a truck again. I'd built the F100 and I really wanted to build a different style truck, but be more of a drag race focused truck. Previously, I've had a bunch of different F100 C10 style trucks, and this truck that I really liked the best was a 1967 to 1968 Chevrolet C10. I really liked the style of them, and I really liked the step side beds on them. And I really wanted to do a Corvette swap underneath the truck initially. I had a C5 Corvette that somebody ran me off the road, and I ended up hitting a tree. The frame was okay, and I wanted to take the entire frame of that car and put C10 on top of the Corvette frame. But that sounds really familiar. We've already done that kind of build already. So at the time that I built this truck, I was in school, and for extra money, I would part out Silverados, Sierras, Suburbans, Tahoes, and Yukons. And these trucks I could get very cheap. You could buy the whole truck for 500 bucks, sell the motor for 500 bucks, and then make all your money back on the parts. So I was really good and got really familiar with the 1999 to 2005 GM style pickup trucks and SUVs. Me and my buddy Patrick, that you guys see on the channel all the time, were really good. We could rip these things apart really fast, take them apart, part them out, and make a little bit of money on them just while I was in college. So I was really familiar with this style of truck. So that got me thinking I should just build a single cab short bed Silverado, because that's kind of, I was already familiar with the platform, really familiar with how they go together and everything. They already have an LS power in them. The transmissions could be upgraded very easily, and they make a bunch of aftermarket parts for them, but that'd be a little bit too easy of what I wanted to do. I thought about my 68 C10 idea, and so I began looking for a 68 C10, something that I could swap the body onto to make a frame swap. Then on 1320, I saw a video of the LS Escalade, and I thought this was such a cool idea. It was a full-size Cadillac Escalade with twin turbos on it and a bunch of money put into it, and the thing was running on Power Tour and was running really successful, and I was really familiar with the platform anyway, so I thought that this would be a really good opportunity to try to explore some of the GM style trucks and make into a drag car. So the LS Escalade really inspired me to do this style of GM truck, but try to make it faster. And I'm sure you guys have all seen the HOONITRUCK and seen that thing ripping around on Jim Connon films and everything. And I thought that was just the coolest thing, to do something all-wheel drive on a budget, but then also make it drag race oriented. So that's what started the whole idea of what I wanted to do with this thing, and that's kind of what we got in the end. So this particular truck came out of North Carolina. right on the Virginia, North Carolina line. I've been looking everywhere, looking in California, looking in Arizona, just to find a truck that was really solid. Around where I'm at, these things rot terrible. The rockers seem to always be gone, the cab supports seem to always be rotted out. Sometimes even the roofs rot out. I mean, these rot really bad. They're really hard to find that are pretty solid. So I ended up finding one on Craigslist, running down, picking it up, and bringing it back. Originally, this truck was a long bed 6-cylinder truck, 3-speed on the column. The truck actually ran and drove. I got it running, and I ended up blowing up the motor that was originally in it, and then finding a Facebook Marketplace, another 6-cylinder, put it in, and I drove the truck for quite a while until I could gather all the parts to do this whole build. So once I put the motor in, I drove it for a long time. I put these GM transport wheels on it. They actually bolt up to the old style 6-lug pattern that is normally on these trucks originally. Then I ended up putting a work bed on it from a truck that I was parting out, and I drove it for a long time. And then I finally found a good deal on a 2007 Cadillac Escalade. Now, the reason I wanted to go with the newer style Escalade versus the older style, from 2007 to 2014 I believe are the same frames, and from 1999 to 2006 are, I believe, the same frames. So the earlier style GM trucks have torsion bars in the front, and I really just wanted to go with the newer style. Also, the newer style has rack and pinion, and it also has an aluminum block LS3 in them versus the cast iron motor, the 6-liter. All these things kind of added up to just look for a 07 up truck, and I ended up finding a good deal on one. I ran up, snagged it, and started ripping it apart so I can make some money back on the body, and then all I need was the entire frame of it. Once I got the entire frame of the truck, got it sandblasted, got it prepped, and then I started building the motor. Now, I'm not the first person to figure out that a 1960s Chevrolet truck and a newer Chevrolet truck are only 1 inch longer in wheelbase. This truck and a Tahoe style Escalade are only 1 inch difference in the wheelbase. So the wheelbase wasn't really a problem for me, and going through the entire process of trying to figure out what vehicles will fit under, this is definitely one of the best options that you could go for. But in this series, like I said, I was in school when I built this truck, going back and forth to college, coming home and working on it on the weekends, so I didn't film as much of the build series as I'd like, but I'd still like to be able to divide these videos into sections so I could help you guys build something very similar. This is a really common swap on older 99 to 06 style trucks, but not very many of the newer style trucks have been built, and so I really want to help these guys out by showing them how I've built it and different ways that could be improved and different ways that you guys could build yours. So what makes this truck really special is it's not only all-wheel drive with a just complete Cadillac underneath, but it actually has a 76mm turbo on it and makes around 700 horsepower to all 4 wheels. And I'll go through the entire specs and how I built the motor and everything in future episodes. So I'm going to separate this build series into a few different sections. I'm going to start with the first section of the chassis and how I prepped the chassis, what it took, what different things I had to modify to be able to fit the truck onto the chassis. Then the next section is going to be the body, how I fit the body and the bed and the front clip onto the frame, what I had to modify to them to be able to make everything work together. Then the next section, I'm going to go through the whole engine. What did I have to build? What kind of turbo did I pick? What ring gap did I put in the motor? What cam specs I had and what different things I had to do. This is the first motor that I'd ever built by myself, so I wanted to show how I did it and what could it be improved on and what you guys could probably do a little bit differently than I did, depending on what you're doing. And then in the next section, I wanted to just do the finishing touches, so how I wired it, what I wanted to change, what wiring harness did I go with, what fuel system did I use, and then a bunch of other stuff. And then in the final episode, I'll show this thing on the dyno so you can see what kind of power it put down, and then you'll kind of be up to date with the C10 project. So it's going to be a few months of C10 videos, and don't worry, we won't skip out on the Rambler videos. Those are still to come. Like I said, we're going to be doing the road racing at LS Fest, so you'll see that there, and this should be in the truck class at LS Fest doing drag racing, so hopefully you'll see that there as well. And if you see us at LS Fest, make sure you stop and say hello, and we hope to see you there. So stay tuned for more C10 updates and Rambler updates as we go forward, and we can break down the whole C10 process. But you'll have to see that on the next episode, so make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.